Hi, Dr. Michael DiMattina, Medical Director at Dominion Fertility in Arlington, Virginia. So it's my pleasure and joy to introduce to you John and Lara, who are an absolutely wonderful, loving couple who came to me because they wanted to start their family. And they experienced tragedy, but because of their perseverance, they now have two beautiful children. Their story touched me, and I think it will touch you too.
Hi, I'm Lara, this is John, and we are the McClassics. It took them a while to ask me out. It took about 3 months worth of weekly meetups at our young adults group.
She conned me.
He asked me out, and then we were exclusive and got married a couple years later in 2010, actually, in downtown DC. I always wanted to be a mom. He always wanted to be a dad. And we both come from large families where babies just come. There's no such thing as trying for a baby. And it didn't happen, and it didn't happen.
We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know why it was occurring. And it was a question of why us?
The hardest step of the whole journey is making that first phone call to your fertility doctor, because it's an admission that you need help. But after 2 years, I went to my GYN and she referred me to Dr. DiMattina. So Dr. DiMattina thought we were good candidates for natural cycle, so we proceeded. So the first cycle, the egg didn't fertilize. So I decided to give it one more try, and then if it didn't work, we were gonna take a break and just take a couple months off, let my arms heal. I waited all day for that phone call, and I finally got the phone call at 4 o'clock that the lab results came back, and I was pregnant. The pregnancy progressed just beautifully, and I was excited and happy, and I loved everything about being pregnant. The day before my due date, I went into labor, and it did not go well. He got stuck. She tried using a vacuum, ultimately had to do a C-section, but he was born. And I heard him crying, and it was wonderful. And I remember thinking, we got through it. A couple hours later, we got the news that he had started hemorrhaging. If it had remained a small hemorrhage, it would have been able to be treated, but ultimately it was a catastrophic hemorrhage, and he died 16 hours later.
I remember looking up at one of the nurses and just my eyes welling up and her reassuring me that everything was going to be okay. And I was like, how can you assure me of anything at this point?
When this happened, I remember driving home from the hospital with the empty car seat. I was so lost, but I knew that the only person I wanted to talk to was Dr. DiMattina. I told him the story, and I asked 3 questions. I said, can I conceive? Can I carry, and can I deliver? And he said yes, and that was about the best news. I was so lost and so sad about losing my baby boy, but we had hope. The nurse called, and it was the same nurse that called when I got pregnant with Nate, and she said, congratulations. And 13 months after our son died, I delivered a little girl. But I credit that moment and the emotional support to Dr. DiMattina and Dominion Fertility and the ones that got me pregnant.
I'm very happy to say that, that is not the end of our story.
And when she was 2, I started thinking, I think I'm about ready to do this again. And my phone rang, and I knew it was Dominion, and it was the same nurse who had called me the previous 2 times, and she said, Lara, you're 3 for 3. I've taken both kids in to meet the doctors, newborns, and the doctors and nurses are just so over the moon for your success because they know how much it means to you, and they want it for you.
It was beyond our expectations. We were really thankful for everybody involved in that. Dominion Fertility just did a wonderful job.
I met Dr. DiMattina. I went in for my first consult 6.5 years ago. And there had been 3 babies in that time. And we're home now with 2 kids, and we are just so grateful to have them. And I was someone who walked into that office scared of needles, scared of doctors, scared of everything, thinking this is not the way I want to get pregnant, this is not the way I see my life unfolding. And yet, 7 years later, here we are. Thank you, Dominion Fertility.